Hi, I'm going to make a bottle. So I've got my clay on the wheel, and sometimes bottles are a challenge to make. It's easy to make wide vessels. It's tricky to make them wide at the base and narrow at the top. So let's see how good I am today. I'm centering my clay. My clay today is a little more firm, which should help me get some height. And it's just a little bit of clay. It's barely a pound of clay, so it's not like I'm making a large bottle. I'm not gonna challenge myself too much today. Still centering it. With a bottle, because it's a narrow neck, you really can see if it's at all uneven. So I really want to make sure I've got it completely centered. I feel like it is. Okay, there we go. All right, so now I'll make my little indentation with my thumb. Deep in the wells. With a bottle, you want the neck to stay narrow, so I'm not going in with 3 fingers, I'm only going in with 2 fingers, and I'm being careful to keep this opening really narrow. But I want to push out the base nice and wide. So you see this narrow opening here, but down low, it's open much wider. I'm going to go in there and sponge carefully that flat bottom to get that extra water out. And then I'm going to slow my wheel down a little bit so I can start making my pulls. With a bottle form, you want to be really careful to only pull up into a volcano shape, keeping the top narrow as much as possible at all times. And it gets wider because you have to keep sticking your fingers in there. So it's gonna get wider. Oops, lost my sponge because the opening is so narrow. Look at how wonky that got. Not a big deal. All I gotta do is steady it again. So I'll show you. If I hold steady, the clay will follow the shape I'm giving it. So I put it right back on. All right, I'm re-wetting, making another pull. My thumbs are connected, which steadies me, and then I steady the clay. My left fingers on the inside are being really careful and gentle not to push out. And now that I've got a tall, narrow neck already, I'm going in with my super extended slurry extractor, which is also known as a sponge on a stick, held together with a really old beat up rubber band by the looks of it. Okay, going in again. Every time I go in, I end up widening that neck just with my fingers widening it up by going in there, but not a big deal. I'm going to push that back in. My left fingers are soft to the touch, so with my right fingers pushing in, it gets narrow again. So it's a lot of back and forth, back and forth. Go in, soak it out, make it wider, and then on the next pull, make it narrow again. So now I'm realizing I'm not going to get my fingers back down in there. So I'll show you, because my fingers don't reach to the bottom anymore. So I'm going to use the sponge on a stick to be the extension of my fingers. I'm going to use the sponge on a stick to push out a nice rounded curve down at the bottom. See how that changed? Come out gently. And then I'm going to use my fingers to control the neck. My right fingers are pushing inward while pulling the clay taller still, extending that neck even more. So maybe it's not so much a bottle as it is a bud vase. But when I say bottle, I always think of a narrow, long neck. It's not really a root beer bottle or anything. Just defining this a little bit more with the sponge in there. You have to be really careful. See how that stick was touching and widening the opening of the top of my bottleneck? So now I want to go back and narrow that up again. I don't like that being wide. So my right fingers are narrowing it up again. This has to be done so gently, and the fact that I used firmer clay today helps, because if I used really soft clay, it would have been really easy to center, but it would have been difficult to bring this opening back in each time and make it as narrow as it is now. That's kind of fun. And then the idea would be to just keep going as narrow as I can until it starts to wobble. I just look down inside and it's nice and dry in there. I want to define some lines because it doesn't look very exciting right now. So I'm just going to add some character out here. And that'll give me some help when it comes time to glazing it, where I can cut some colors and change some colors or have something different going on. I like the narrow neck. I like the height of it. I'm not thrilled about that line that I just put in, so I'm going to get rid of that. I feel like it doesn't add anything to the shape. There we go. I like that the neck swoops out a little bit, but I'm not thrilled about this down at the bottom either. I want to get rid of some of that thickness. I temporarily lost my tool. I'm not sure what I did with it, so I'll use this one. Just going to get rid of some of that down at the bottom. There. That defines it a little cleaner. I always like the bottom of my pots to go in. Making it slightly narrow. Just lifting the shape, that round shape, off the surface a little bit. Adds a little bit more elegance and sophistication to it. How sophisticated is it if I can't even say the word? I'm going to clean up the lip. There we go. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching.